Hey, this is Eric with Sky Kingdom Games, and in this video we will be covering the exploration phase. The exploration phase includes gameplay elements that occur outside of battle, called the battle phase, and narrative events, called the narrative phase. During the exploration phase, you may explore Isofar, which includes traveling between nodes, beginning narrative events, harvesting, mining, fishing, and beginning field events. You can also craft equipment at a blacksmith, rest at an inn, purchase and sell materials at marketplaces, customize your guards, which includes changing their equipment, changing their abilities, and advancing their skill trees. You can rebuild Fort Istra, use items and drop items, and finally begin side quests. Let's take some time to go over each option separately. The campaign books will inform you when the exploration phase begins. Once the phase is started, you may begin exploring Isofar. Exploring Isofar is done by traveling along a series of nodes on the map. When moving the guards, you will either move the corresponding miniature or guard bust chips. You may only move to a node on the map that's connected with a path, indicated by the art. Various things can happen depending on the color of the node the guards are moved to. Let's start with yellow nodes. Yellow nodes are the primary type of node on the main map. You always draw a chip from the event bag when you move onto a yellow node unless it has a narrative event chip. We will cover what happens when you move the guards to a narrative event chip in the narrative phase video later on. When drawing a chip from the event bag, you will draw one of the following chips: single skull, double skull, triple skull, or a compass chip. After drawing a chip and resolving its outcome, immediately return the chip to the event bag. If one of the skull chips is drawn, you'll match the value in the corresponding enemy index in the indexes book and begin the battle phase. Let's take a moment and show an example of how this works. The guards are currently in the middle of Chapter 1 of Campaign 1 on Node 91. Let's move them to Node 90. We now immediately draw a chip from the event bag. We've drawn the triple skull chip, so we look in the indexes book to see what enemies we will battle against at this location. We can see that the guards will face a Falman Scout in slot 1 and a Stone Hunter in slot 2 in the battle phase. We will cover what happens during the battle phase in a later video. As you can see in the example, each yellow node has 3 possible outcomes for battles. Once the battle phase is completed, we return to the exploration phase and continue exploring Isofar. Here's some helpful notes before we move on to compass chips. You can always find out what chapter you're currently in by looking at the top of the page in the campaign books. This information determines which enemy index you'll use if a skull chip is drawn. The campaign books also inform you when a chapter is completed and when to use the next enemy index. It also tells you where to find that in the indexes book too. Now, let's see what happens if a compass chip is drawn. If a compass chip is drawn and there are less than 3 purple cubes on the current region's field event deck, immediately place a purple cube on it. You then have 3 options. You could first choose to continue exploring without having to enter a battle event. You could also choose one of the battle events from the enemy index for that node. Choosing an event can be very helpful if looking for a particular enemy to obtain their drop card. Finally, you can choose to draw a field event card from the region the guards are currently exploring if the field event deck has 3 purple cubes on it. Let's take a moment to look at how field event cards work. Field event cards are random events that you encounter as you travel the land of Isofar. These events are mostly non-battle oriented and focus on the day-to-day activities of the inhabitants of Isofar. Field events offer you multiple choices in how to respond to a particular event and utilize various mechanics that may interact with the guard's chip bags, satchel contents, or other components. All field event cards are put into play at the start of a new campaign. Field event cards are split into 3 decks of 20 cards each. The node in which the guards are currently located determines the deck to draw from. Nodes 1 to 23 are in the mountainous region. The cards are numbered 1 to 20, and the bottom right corner of the front of the card is blue. Note that the ice caves and the frozen wastes minimaps are also considered a part of this region. Nodes 24 to 77 are in the plains region. These cards are numbered 21 to 40, and the bottom right corner on the front of the card is yellow. Finally, nodes 78 to 108 are in the forest region. These cards are numbered 41 to 60, and the bottom right corner on the front of the card is red. When drawing a field event card, return the purple cubes back to the supply. Then read the presented narrative. Choose a path without looking at the back of the card. Once a path has been chosen, flip the card over, read the outcome, and follow the instructions listed on the card. Once the outcome has been resolved, return the card to the supply, unless the card instructs you to return it back to the deck. Now, let's move on to orange nodes. Orange nodes are nodes that link to a minimap. A minimap is a zoomed-in version of a larger area in Isofar, like a city or a cave. When you move to an orange node, you never draw from the event bag. Instead, you either move into the minimap or an adjacent node. If you move to an adjacent orange node, you may do so freely and then continue with the exploration phase. Let's take a moment and show an example of how this works. The guards are currently on node 68. Let's move them south to node 69. We can now enter the minimap of the city Reba, or we can pass through to nodes 78, 81, or 79. If we choose to enter Reba by node 69, we place the Reba minimap on the table and place the guards on the Salt Gate node, labeled 69, and continue the exploration phase within the city. The same rules apply when exiting a minimap area. If we chose to exit Reba by the Salt Gate node, we would place the guards on node 69 of the main map and continue the exploration phase. There are various nodes that can be interacted with within minimap locations, and we will cover them later in this video. Now let's move on to red nodes. Red nodes are impassable nodes. The guards may not land on red nodes unless the narrative in the campaign books directs otherwise. Let's take a moment and show an example of how this works. If the guards are on node 14, they cannot land on node 16 and pass through to node 20. You would need to find another path around. However, if the campaign book indicates to place a narrative chip on node 16, we can move the guards to node 16 and enter the Circle of Seers minimap location. Red nodes and their locations are only used in narrative events. Now let's move on to blue nodes. Blue nodes are water nodes. You'll find blue nodes on the rivers and seas of Isofar. In order to explore blue nodes, the guards will need a boat to sail between them. Sometimes the narrative will direct you to these nodes and a boat will be provided. You'll also have the opportunity to build a boat and sail whenever you'd like later in the story. When exploring a blue node, the boat chip is used, unless the campaign book directs otherwise. Whenever you travel to blue nodes, you draw from the event bag, similarly to yellow nodes. However, when you draw on blue nodes, all encounters are ambushes. We will cover what happens for an ambush during the battle phase in a later video. The entrances and exits for blue nodes are always marked with the sailboat icon. When the guards reach a blue node with the sailboat icon when they are on a boat, you switch back to using the guards' miniature or bus chips once the exploration phase begins again. The fishing action is unlocked at Fort Istra during Campaign 1 when you obtain the fishing pole unique item. This unique item is noted by the satchel icon on the card back. This action can be performed on any blue node so long as the unique item is in one of the guard's satchel slots. We will cover the fishing action in detail in a later video on Fort Istra. The final node type is green nodes. Green nodes are safe locations. When you land on a green node, no chip is drawn from the event bag. Instead, you may choose to perform an action granted by the node if possible. Green nodes may indicate a harvesting location indicated by the wood chopping axe icon, a mining location indicated by the pickaxe icon, a blacksmith location indicated by the anvil icon, an inn location indicated by the campfire icon, a marketplace location indicated by the potion icon, and finally, a point of interest location indicated by a scroll with the location's name. Let's take a look at each action separately. The harvesting and mining actions are unlocked at Fort Istra during Campaign 1 when you obtain the wood chopping axe and the pickaxe unique items. These unique items are noted by the satchel icon on the card backs. These actions can be performed on special green nodes, indicated by the wood chopping axe icon and the pickaxe icon, so long as the required unique item is in one of your guard's satchel slots. When you land on a green node with one of these icons, no chip is drawn from the event bag, and you may choose to perform the indicated action instead. If you decide to harvest or mine from a green node, you gain wood or ore, respectively, and place it on a guard's satchel slot up to the maximum amount. The maximum amount of each type of wood or ore that may be held by a party at any time is 4. Harvesting and mining resource cards are numbered 1 to 4 to indicate the amount carried by the guard. The type of wood and ore found in these nodes are listed in the Harvesting and Mining Index in the Indexes book. Let's take a moment and show an example of how this works. The guards are currently on Node 97 in southern Isofar near Fort Istra. Let's move them to Node 98 and choose to harvest from this location, since it has that icon. We can look in the Harvesting and Mining Index in the Indexes book or the Player Aid foldout to see that Node 98 contains pine. Since the guards currently have no pine, we find the resource card from the card index box under Harvesting. We place the pine card in an open satchel slot in one of the guards on the side that has a 4, which is the maximum amount that can be held. The same process would be done if mining from a node. The guards are currently on Node 73 near the border of the country of Koros. Let's move them to Node 88 and choose to mine from this location, since it has that icon. We can look in the Harvesting and Mining Index in the Indexes book, or the player aid foldout and see that node 88 contains iron. Since the guards currently have no iron, we find the resource card from the card index box under mining. We place the iron card in an open satchel slot in one of the guards on the side that has a 4, which is the maximum amount that can be held. Now let's take a look at how blacksmiths work. At a blacksmith, you may choose to craft or sell various equipment. These actions can only take place during the exploration phase, not during a narrative event. Let's take a moment and show an example of how crafting and selling works at a blacksmith. Each blacksmith lists various recipes to craft equipment. The guards must have the required materials and sill in order to craft the desired equipment. Materials required must be in the guards' satchel slots at the time of crafting, not in the Fort Easter stash. When the required materials and sill have been paid to the blacksmith, the materials are discarded from the guard's satchel slots and returned to the supply, and the required sill is reduced from the guard's supply. The newly crafted equipment card can be immediately equipped onto a guard or stored on one of their satchel slots. The guards are currently in the city of Reba on the Saltgate node, node 69. Let's move them to the blacksmith node and choose to craft some equipment. We can see the available equipment that can be crafted in the city index in the index's book. The guards are currently holding several resources in their satchel slots that were acquired by defeating enemies and gathering resources from various nodes. Let's craft the reinforced tunic for Grigory. We first pay the blacksmith the required sill cost to craft, which is 15, and we reduce that from our sill supply on the dual dial. Next, we return the required cards needed to craft to the card supply and obtain the reinforced tunic card, which is found in the armor section of the card index. Notice that the equipment list in the index's book has icons listed to let you know where to find these cards in the index. We can now equip Grigory with his new armor and adjust his stats accordingly. Now let's take a look at how to sell something at a blacksmith. In order to sell a piece of equipment, the equipment card must be currently equipped or in a guard's satchel slot. Once a piece of equipment has been sold, the card is returned to the supply and the gained sill is added to the guard's supply. You can only sell equipment that's listed in the index's book for the blacksmith the guards are currently located. If we decided to sell the reinforced tunic, we would return the card back to the supply and gain the sill listed in the index, which is 10 sill. Notice that the sill obtained by selling is always less than the amount needed to craft. Some helpful notes about crafting and selling. All of the blacksmiths across Isofar have unique equipment that can be crafted and sold to them. However, some equipment is common to them, but may be crafted and sold for different amounts of sill. This means it may be beneficial to travel to a different location to get the best deals as the economy varies across the country. Now let's take a look at inns. When visiting cities across Isofar, players will discover various inns that the guards can visit and rest from their adventures. Inns have a fee to rest that is paid in sill, and this information is listed in the city index located in the index's book. At these locations, the guard's HP is restored back to the max value. Note that the starting HP for all guards is 20, but has a range from 20 to 30. When resting at an inn, the guards' bags remain unchanged. This means that negative chips that have been added to the guards' bags in battles remain in their bags. After resting at an inn, a save point is created and the campfire chip is placed on the inn. At the end of a game session, you will record this location in the save index by writing down the location under the campfire icon. This can be found in the save index in the indexes book. Finally, inns also have various side quests called bounty quests. We will cover more about these quests later in this video. Now let's show an example of how to rest at an inn. The guards are still in Reba and have finished crafting at the blacksmith. After exploring across the country, the guards have been wounded in battle and their health has been lowered. Let's move them to Trade Winds, which is the inn in Reba. Now, let's take the rest action by paying the required sil cost, which is 20 sil. Now that the guards have rested up, their HP is restored back to their current maximum value, which happens to be 20 for both guards. And we place a campfire chip on Trade Winds to note that a save point has been created. If the guards fall in battle, we could respawn them back at Trade Winds or at Fort Istra. This save point remains at Trade Winds until a new one is created at a different location. Now let's take a look at how marketplaces work. At a marketplace, the guards may choose to buy or sell various materials like enemy drops. These materials are found upon defeating enemies in battle and are used to craft various equipment. You'll also find various items for sale to heal and benefit the guards, like potions and food. Some marketplaces have unique food items only available at that city. You can only buy or sell at any marketplace during the exploration phase, not during a narrative event. When buying items or materials, the purchased cards are stored in the guard's satchel slots, and the required sil must be reduced from the guard's supply. When materials are sold, the cards are returned to the supply and the gained sil is added to the guard's supply. Now let's take a look at how to buy something at a marketplace. The guards have rested at Trade Winds and now want to purchase some items before heading out into the country. Let's move them to the fish market, which is the marketplace in Reba. We can see the available items that can be bought and sold in the city index in the indexes book. It may be a good idea to buy some health potions for our guards before we begin exploring. Let's pay the required sil and equip the item cards. We first pay the vendor at the marketplace the required sil cost, which is 5 for each item, for a total of 10 sil. We then reduce that from our sil supply on the dual dial. Next, we obtain the health potion cards, which are found in the item section of the card index. We can now choose to store the item cards in an open satchel slot of the guards, or we can equip the items to the guards by placing them in an open item slot on their guard dashboard. Items can only be used in the battle phase if they are equipped in the item slot. Items stored in the satchel slots of the guards can only be used outside of battle if they have a compass icon, like the health potions do that we just bought. Now let's take a look at how to sell something at a marketplace. Selling at a marketplace works the exact same way as a blacksmith. In order to sell an item card or enemy drop card, the card must be currently equipped or in a guard's satchel slot. Once the item or enemy drop has been sold, the card is returned to the supply and the gained sil is added to the guard's supply. You can only sell items and enemy drops that are listed in the indexes book for the marketplace the guards are currently located. If we decided to sell the health potion we would return the card back to the supply and gain the SIL listed in the index, which is 2 SIL. Notice that the SIL obtained by selling is always less than the amount needed to buy it. The final type of green node is a point of interest. Points of interest are green nodes that have a scroll with the location's name. When the guards land on one of these nodes, no action is taken. You'll visit these locations during the campaigns through the main storyline and side quests. When the guards land on a node that has a narrative event chip on it, a narrative event immediately triggers. The campaign books will direct you to place narrative event chips on various nodes as you progress through each campaign. These may be any color node. Follow the instructions in the campaign book to complete the narrative sequence. We will cover the narrative phase in a later video. A quick note about narrative events. Once a narrative event begins, you may not perform any actions that are available during the exploration phase. If the guards fall in battle at any time during a narrative event, you'll respawn them back to the last save point or at Fort Easter Courtyard. You'll then have to begin the narrative event from the beginning by traveling back to the narrative event chip. Keep this in mind and prepare before starting any narrative events. You can customize the guards when not in battle by equipping unlocked guard ability cards and stonebound ability cards. This action cannot be done during a narrative event. The guards can also use items, drop items, equip available weapons, armor, accessories, and items, and unlock upgrades on their skill trees. These actions must be taken before drawing a chip from the event bag. The maximum number of equipped guard ability cards and stonebound ability cards in any combination is limited by the number of slots on a guard ability dashboard, which is 6. You may equip and swap out any number of guard ability cards and stonebound ability cards during the exploration phase. These cards are acquired by unlocking them on the guard's skill trees, through side quests, and through other special events. When equipping a guard ability card, make sure to place the card with the primary side facing up, noted by a P icon in the top right corner. At the start of every battle, guard ability cards must be on their primary side. If an ability card does not have a primary or secondary side, it remains the side it ended at from the previous battle. Stonebound ability cards are powerful abilities that come with special speaking stone gems that are required to activate them. When equipping a stonebound ability card, flip over the card to reference the speaking stone card that is included with the ability. Let's take a moment and show an example of how this works. Grigory has the cross/slash stonebound ability card in slot 4 of his guard ability dashboard. Cross/slash comes with the Garnet speaking stone card, which is listed on the back of the cross/slash card. You may choose to equip the Garnet speaking stone in any stone slot on Grigory's weapon or armor card. There must be an open stone slot on his weapon, armor, or accessory card to equip the speaking stone card. Once equipped, the card is placed underneath the weapon or armor, and the bonus effect from the card is gained. In the case of Garnet, a double sword chip is added to Grigory's bag to use in battle. Since cross/slash is a fire ability indicated by the fire icon on the card, a fire or red gem is placed on the ready slot 4 below the card. Speaking stone gems always start the battle as ready. When you remove a stone-bound ability card from a guard, remove the card, the Speaking Stone gem, and the Speaking Stone card listed on the back. Bonus effects given from the Speaking Stone card are also removed from the guard. This could include bonus chips in the guard's bag or bonus stats. Be sure to keep this in mind when swapping out stone-bound ability cards and equipment cards. You may acquire Speaking Stone cards through stone-bound ability cards, battle rewards, narrative events, side quests, and other special events. If a Speaking Stone card is acquired, it can be stored in an open satchel slot of a guard or immediately equipped in an open equipment slot of the guard's weapon, armor, or accessory card. An open stone slot must be available to equip the stone. When the guard is equipped, the bonuses listed on the back of the card are immediately gained by the guard. Speaking Stone cards can be equipped and swapped freely during the exploration phase. Here's an important note about Speaking Stone cards. Speaking Stone cards acquired separately from stone-bound ability cards do not give the guard a Speaking Stone gem. Equipping Speaking Stone cards is the primary way to build the guard's chip bags in the Isofarian guard. You may equip various pieces of equipment to the guards during the exploration phase. Equipment includes weapons, armor, accessories, and items. The guard dashboard has slots to equip one of each at a time. To equip anything, the card must usually be in one of the guard's satchel slots, although when it is crafted, it may be equipped immediately. Once a weapon or armor card is equipped to the weapon slot and armor slot, respectively, the guard gains the bonuses listed on the back of the equipment card. Bonuses from weapons and armor may include stat increases to health, attack, defense, action points, bonus chips for the guard's chip bag, slots to attach Speaking Stone cards, or even grant new stone-bound ability cards. When the guard's stat is increased, move the corresponding red cube to the new value of the stat. This applies for health, attack, and defense. If action points are gained, add a new gray cube to the guard's AP pool. If new chips are acquired, place the new chips from the supply in the guard's chip bag. Note that any bonus gained from equipment is also lost when the equipment is removed from the guard. Accessories give the guards special effects that can affect both the exploration and battle phase. Equip them to the accessory slot. Follow the text on the card for instructions on when these effects take place. Accessories with limited effects for battle are noted with the limited activation icon. The numerical value indicates how many times the effect can take place in a battle. Once the effect has taken place, a purple cube is placed on the card to show that it's been activated. Once the numerical value is met, the accessory card is flipped over to indicate that it cannot be activated anymore during the battle. An item can only be used in battle if it is equipped in the item slot. This must be done during the exploration phase before a battle begins. Some items have a compass icon in the top right corner of the item card. These items can be used at any time during the exploration phase, directly from the guard's satchel slots. All items are single use only and are returned to the supply once used. You may choose to drop any card that's stored in a satchel slot at any time during the exploration phase. Once dropped, the card is returned to the supply and is lost forever. Let's take a moment and show an example of how this works. Grigory has just defeated a Timberwolf in battle and has obtained a Wolf Pelt enemy drop card. This enemy drop card would cause Grigory to exceed the capacity of his satchel, so we may choose to either not obtain the drop or replace a card from his satchel with the enemy drop. Cards discarded in this way are lost and the card is returned to the supply. As your guards journey across Isofar and defeat various enemies, they will gain Lux Essence. Lux Essence represents a party's communal experience pool and may be used to gain new bonuses throughout Isofar. Lux Essence is spent to acquire upgrades on each guard's skill tree. Lux Essence is tracked using the Lux Dual Dial. At the start of each campaign, the starting upgrade of each guard is unlocked by default. Every node on each skill tree has a required Lux Essence cost to unlock it. Details on these unlockable upgrades are listed in the skill tree index in the index's book. Players may unlock upgrades above or orthogonally adjacent to upgrades they have already unlocked. This means that players will be able to decide which upgrade to unlock and when, for more player agency over guard customization. Upgrades are labeled by either chip icons or stat icons. These tell players what is unlocked at each space. Some may add a new permanent chip to the guard's bag, while others may increase a guard's maximum health, attack, defense, or AP permanently. Note that if it has a plus icon, it is a stat increase. The class icons on the guard's skill trees unlock new guard ability cards for the guard. These are unique to each guard and may only be used by that guard. Once unlocked, players have the option to add these new abilities to their guard ability dashboard at any time during the exploration phase of the game. These unique cards can be identified on the guard's skill trees by using class icon and named scroll. You may also unlock new stonebound ability cards for your guards on their skill trees. These abilities are identified using the speaking stone element icon and the name of the ability in a scroll. Just like the guard ability cards from the skill tree, these are unique to each guard and may only be used by that guard. The card index box contains separators for ability cards that have been unlocked for each guard. You can store cards that are not currently equipped on the guards in this way to easily find cards that have been unlocked. When using Lux Essence to unlock a new bonus or ability from a guard's skill tree, you'll reference the tracking sheet in the indexes book in the skill tree index. Each unlockable node has a Lux Essence cost and chapter requirement in order to be unlocked. Lux Essence requirements increase as the story progresses and enemies grant more experience to the guards. This system prevents you from overleveling in the game and paces you with the story. Let's take a moment and show an example of how this works. This is the skill tree for Grigory from Campaign 1. When a node has been unlocked, you'll reduce the Lux Essence cost from the Lux Essence Dual Dial and gain the bonuses listed. You can mark that the node has been unlocked by checking the box below the node in the book. Let's unlock one of the first nodes on Grigory's skill tree by paying the Lux Essence cost. We first reduce the amount held in the Dual Dial. Nodes in Chapter 1 cost 10 Lux Essence. We then mark the box next to the node and obtain the chip for Grigory's chip bag. Chips obtained on the skill tree must be added to the guards' bags. Side quests are optional quests that provide helpful rewards for those that complete them. Many of these quests explore events around the country of Isofar happening outside of the main narrative. There are 3 different types of quests to complete. Side quests and caravan quests are available at the start of Chapter 2 of each campaign. Bounty quests are available at any time during each campaign. Let's take some time to go over each one separately. Side quests and caravan quests are available at the start of Chapter 2 of each campaign. The campaign books will direct you to the quests book once they can be started. These quests are limited to the current chapter you've progressed in each campaign. If you're currently in Chapter 2, you may not begin quests from Chapter 3 or 4. However, if you've progressed to a later chapter, you may complete a quest from previous chapters. To begin a side quest, place the scroll chip on the starting node listed in the quests book. Once the chip has been placed, that quest is considered active, and no other quest can be started until the current one has been completed. This applies to all type of side quests, caravan quests, or bounty quests. You can also cancel an active quest to begin a new one if desired. Once the guards land on a scroll chip on the map, you have the option of starting the first scene of the quest, or continuing the exploration phase for that node. Side quests and caravan quests have multiple scenes or parts. The text in the quest book will instruct you if the scroll chip needs to move to a new location on the map to continue the quest. Each time a scene is completed, place an X in the quest book using a pencil. Caravan quests work the same as side quests, except that the caravan chip is used to mark the first scene of each quest. The caravan chip will move to a new location at the start of each chapter of each campaign. There is a single caravan quest per chapter of each campaign. Just like side quests, you may not begin caravan quests from later chapters until you reach that point in the narrative. However, if you progress to a later chapter in the campaign, you may complete caravan quests from previous chapters. Once a side quest or caravan quest has been completed, begin the exploration phase and continue your journey across Isofar. Bounty quests are available at any time during the campaigns. Each inn has a list of bounty quests posted by various citizens, which provide a multitude of rewards for completing them. Bounty quests are very challenging and feature stronger than normal enemies found throughout the narrative. To begin a bounty quest, move the guards to an inn and reference the available bounty quests from that location in the city index of the index's book. Each inn has bounty quests that are unique to each campaign. Just like side quests and caravan quests, place the scroll chip on the node where the quest begins. Once the guards land on the scroll chip, you have the option of starting the bounty quest or continuing the exploration phase for that node. Each bounty quest has a target listed. The target may be an enemy or a group of enemies. Once the guards land on the scroll chip and the quest begins, the battle phase is started against the target enemies. If the battle is successful, the rewards listed for the quest are immediately obtained, meaning the guards do not have to travel back to the inn where the quest was started. If the battle is lost, the guards would respawn back at the last save point or the Fort Easter courtyard, just like a normal battle, and the scroll chip for the quest would remain on the map. That concludes our overview of the exploration phase in the Isofarian Guard. Sheets used to track the various skill trees and quests can be printed out for those that don't want to mark in their books. These can be found on the game's website, thestoneboundsaga.com /the Isofarian Guard. In the next video, we will cover the battle phase.